Okay, we're going to continue with our HTML5 primer, and I think this is part 4, images and color. We're going to talk about how to use images in our web page and how to use color in HTML. I'll probably break this up into several videos. This is a pretty long slide, and of course you have access to this in Blackboard. So here's everything that's covered in the slide. And what I'll probably do here is just this first part of color in HTML and images in HTML. And some of this stuff I don't really need to talk about. You can read about it. The image maps is kind of an advanced topic. I don't think I'll probably do that, or I'll do that as a separate presentation. So I'm probably going to skip through those to the CSS for the images and the background. And then I'll do the gradients and these things and the vendor prefixes as separate videos for sure. So let's start talking about color in HTML. Basically, we use red, green, blue color system. I think now you can use the other color system too. I always get confused about that because I've been using the RGB forever. But if you're a designer, you know another system. So the red, green, blue system, you have 3 color components. Each component is a byte, which can have a range from 0 to 255. So we have a total of 255 to the power of 3 possible colors. And every color we can conceive of is really some combination of red, green, and blue light. If you have no color at all, no red, no green, no blue, that's black. If you have full color, all red, all green, and all blue, that's going to be white. Basically, we use hexadecimal, which is base 16, to represent colors in HTML. And so we'll end up with a RGB triple where the base 16 number has got 2 digits. It ranges from 00 to FF. And this is the equivalent of 0 to 255 in decimal. So FF equals 255. And we'll end up with 6 digits to represent a color. And you'll see that for HTML triples, we always use a pound sign. So here's some examples. So if you look at this, the first 2 are the red, the second 2 are the green, and the third 2 are the blue. So this is no color at all, which is black. This is all colors, FF for the first byte, FF for the second, FF for the third. So that's all red, all green, all blue. So that's going to be white. Here you can see this is all red with no green or blue. This is no red, all green, no blue, so it's green. And this is no red, no green, and all blue, so it's blue. And so then we go on from there and we get all kinds of shades and things. So in addition to using this RGB triple system, we have a number of color names that are already defined. Pretty much any primary name that you can think of is defined. So for instance, red. And then we have these 16 named colors. So black, silver, gray, white, maroon, red, purple, fuchsia, etc., etc. And at one point, these were called the web safe colors. So this is a subset of all possible colors. And that was because some displays could not display a true 24-bit color where you had a byte for each color. And so what would happen, if you picked a color it wasn't available, the monitor or display would basically average the color to the closest one that it could display. We don't have to worry about that these days. The monitors are really good, and it's not likely that anybody will be using a screen that doesn't support full 24-bit color. So in addition to these 16 predefined name colors, there's 130 additional color names, and these used to be called the web safe colors. So you can find a list for these at the www.3schools.com HTML tutorial and reference. I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the videos or not before. This is a tremendous site for getting up and running with web technologies. They have a variety of tutorials on the topics. I'll often refer to them in my videos. They don't always go completely into a subject, but they almost always go far enough for practical usage of something. So it's just the right level, really, for what I teach and for getting started. And of course, you can use other resources if you want to learn more. So, in fact, the Mozilla Developer Network is another good resource that tends to go further in depth than the W3 schools. Okay, so basically you can see that we have these different kinds of ways of expressing the same color. You know, this slipped in on me here. This is an old school property, BG color, that was short for background color. That's wrong. This should be background dash color, okay? I've been doing these slides now for about 15 years, and every once in a while something old will slip through on me. So again, I talked about this web safe colors. This is no longer an issue. Any color that you can come up with will be displayed on a modern display unit. Okay, in the CSS, we can specify the color using the HTML triple with the pound sign, or we can use the color names. And I think we've already seen that the foreground color, or so-called text color, is really the color attribute. So this rule here says that a paragraph should have red text, and the background color would then be white. Okay. Again, we can use the RGB triple. This is kind of nice. You have an RGB pseudo-function which takes decimal values. 2500 is going to be red. Or you have, you can also use percents there. So 100% is all red, and then no green or blue. Okay. So that's pretty nice. Those are called pseudo-functions, and you can use those in the CSS. You can see how I might want to do that programmatically with JavaScript, because I could change these values. All right. So what happens is a child element has the default kind of transparent color, so its parent's background shows through, and then if you apply color to it, that color will show. What I mean by a child element is an HTML element that's inside another one. So for instance, with the body of our document, the section is always a child of the body. And within the section, we have the header, footer, and main. And so you can say that header, footer, and main are always child elements of section. Strictly speaking, the child is the immediate child. We can also talk about a different kind of relationship called an ancestor. So the header, which is within the section, is really not a child of the body, but rather a descendant or of the body, because it's not an immediate child. Okay, that's not important here. I just wanted to talk about the terminology. Here the idea is that if I put color on a background, like on the body, and I don't put color on other elements, they'll use the body's background, and that's usually what I want. The CSS is cleverly designed so that the inheritance cuts down work for you. If you didn't have inheritance of styles, you'd end up having to sort of tediously specify every bit of style for everything in the page, and that would be a pain. Okay, so we saw the background color sets the background color of the container. That's going to include the padding, and some ideas about using color. Again, I'm an engineer and I teach functional design. I don't have a background in visual design. I'm slightly red-green colorblind, and I don't really feel like I even have a good eye for color design. So some things, though, complementary and contrasting colors are going to work best for readable text. So if you look at your color wheel, complementary colors are wheel colors that are opposite one another on the wheel. So, for instance, blue and yellow are complementary colors. Well, that's good. Okay. One thing that you can find helpful here is you can do a search for something called a color scheme generator. And you can usually find a website, and it'll let you pick a base color and then define a series of other secondary colors that work well with it. And one of the things you'll notice when you look at this is these are based on the color wheel. So just like the complementary colors are give you the most contrast, you'll often see a sort of triune kind of arrangement where you pick three colors on the wheel that are 120 degrees away from each other. And then there are also systems where you can pick four colors, which are 90 degrees, etc. So if you look at a color scheme generator, it'll give you a set of colors to work with that are harmonious. And another place you can find this is sort of the theme colors that are built into, for instance, Microsoft PowerPoint. So it'll give me a set of 5 to 6 colors that I can use to create a harmonious color scheme in a PowerPoint presentation. You can use color to visually code pages in a website for users. Got to be careful with this. Some people might not be able to perceive color at all. Some are truly colorblind. Others, often men, have partial red-green color blindness. I happen to have this myself. So if you do this kind of color coding, be careful which colors you use, and also be careful on how much dependence you put on it in terms of your site. Okay? We also have special high contrast styles for visually impaired users. These are people who have a visual impairment but can still see to some extent. So black on white, other high contrast and large font sizes do this. Okay, that's pretty good for colors. Let's go into Dreamweaver here for a second. Okay, so I've gone ahead and opened Dreamweaver, and this is kind of interesting because I'm in design view and it's not showing my page background, which has a color on it. And so if I go ahead and open this in Firefox, you can see that I do have a yellow background on here. Okay, so for some reason it's not doing all of my style sheet stuff here. I'm not really sure why, because it's working okay in the web browser. So I know I have the markup correct in that. So let me show you what I have here. And I think I used this in the previous video here. So I've got my background color set to yellow on the body. And then you notice I have this nav section, and basically right now there's no additional styles or colors there. So we instead have styles on our links because we did that in the last video where we talked about doing the links. So if I come on over here, let's go to the browser instead actually here. Let's see, there we go. So you can see I have the yellow background, and I'm going to go ahead now, and I did this in class already, so I'm going to redo this, but I'm going to go ahead and put a border around my header here, and maybe I'll put a background color on the header too that'll change it. So let's go ahead and do that now in Dreamweaver. So first we'll go to the code here and just take a look and see what we have. So it looks like we want the header to have the border around it. So now I'll go over here, and I'll just go ahead. I usually try to put the structural stuff at the top and keep things organized. So I'm going to actually insert that in here in the document. Okay, so this is going to be header. Now, this will apply to every header on my site, and probably I want that because the header has the navigation system, and I want that to be consistent across the various pages of my site. Okay? All right, so we'll put in a style block, cruise over here. Whoops. There we go. I like to open and close that at the beginning. And let's start by putting the border on there so I can go through some of the stuff I showed you earlier today. So border dash, and then first thing I want is the style. I'm not going to make separate borders for the top, bottom, left, and right. I'm just going to do one that'll go around the whole thing. And then I want this to be solid. Where the hell is that? Solid. There it is. Okay. And then let's go ahead and put border width. We'll make that medium. And then a border color. And maybe I'll try blue this time. It'll probably look like crap, but we'll see. It's very contrasty on my yellow background, right? All right. So I've saved this, and I'll go back to my index.html, and let's see. I think I have Firefox open here. Yeah, okay. So then I can just reload it this way. So reload, and now the border appears. And notice, like I did in class, that it's kind of ugly because everything's run right up against the border. And the blue does not look that great here. So I think I'm going to change the color. And I'm going to add padding. And really, I just need to add the padding to the left and the bottom. I usually don't do that. I usually put padding on all four sides, or sometimes I'll only put it I won't put it on the top. So I already have some space here from this header, and that's probably the rules that I have in the style sheet already for that. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and do the padding and see how it looks. And while we're there, we'll check and see if we already have stuff on the H1. So no, I don't see that. So that's apparently, oh, here we go. I got a 5% margin on the body. So that's 5% at the top is coming from that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and put padding in here. And you know what? I'm going to be lazy and just put padding one time, which will be for all four sides. And I'll give it an EM unit. While I'm here, I want to put a border radius in. And that'll give my border circular corners, round corners. And I figured out earlier, I try to use a percentage. That doesn't work because this is like a rectangle, so it skews. So it's best here to use a sort of semi-absolute measurement. And so by trying it, we found that EM would work or pixels would work. I always try to shy away from absolute measurements, although I guess nowadays pixels are not absolute. So I'll try EM, 2EM here and see. So watch what's happening now when we go and look at this. And did I leave it open, I hope? Yep. All right, so we'll reload. And so now you can see I've gotten my rounded border. And yeah, I got the rounded border, and then we've got the 1 EM, and it looks like we kind of need an extra bit of space on the side. So I'm going to expand the padding a little bit here. So let's make this padding dash bottom. I always misspell bottom. For some reason, I want to make that EM. And then padding dash right. And let's make that 1.5 EM. And then we'll make the padding. We won't really see this padding on the left. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. We won't see the padding on the right because it's left aligned. So this is the one I'm going to see. I just, as a matter of habit, usually try to make stuff symmetrical like that. Don't think it'll really matter here, though. Okay, we saved our file. Let's go back here. Whoops, sorry, I got the wrong window. And I'll just go ahead and reload. And that's looking better. So I gave it a little bit more space here, and so we're getting a nice look. Really, the blue just doesn't turn me on. I'm going to go ahead and change that color. And you've seen this before, but in Dreamweaver, you can basically pop up a color palette, and it'll let you pick a oops, sorry about that. It'll let you pick from the palette a color. I don't really know exactly how this schema works here, so you can see what's going on there. And I'm going to kind of go with a red, I think. Let's see what that is. Yeah, that's red. You can FF00. So basically what this is it's shorthand here. So it does let you do these abbreviated triples. I usually almost never do that. If I write it in, I'll write the full 6 digits. So it's got this kind of shorthand. So this basically means the same, all red, no blue or green. Okay, let's save that. Take another quick look and refresh again. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. I like the red better than the blue. It just didn't look right. And now I want to show you something here. Let's put a background color on the header itself, okay? And God, I have no idea what would be a good color for that. So on the header, and I'm going to put that up at the top. It doesn't matter what order these are in. It's just my preference. I usually put the color first or near the top. So background dash color. And let's see. So right now we have a yellow background. I wonder if gold. Let's try gold and see what that looks like here. So save that and pop back here, refresh, reload. Oh, that's not bad. So it looks different than the background of the page, but it's close enough that it's sort of harmonious. So I like that. Okay. So, and notice how that background color fits within the border. It doesn't go outside of the border, and that works with the rounded corners. So that's really nice. Okay, how much time do I have here?